we would like to know when two vectors are perpendicular. Now, I have this corollary up here, and now I'm talking about perpendicular. And think back to your trig class. A right angle, whether you think 90 degrees or pi over 2, but a right angle, what was the cosine of a right angle?
0.
0. 0, yes. 0. So I'm looking at this corollary. The cosine of theta equals a dot b over the magnitude of a times the magnitude of b. And I've said, we have in the corollary, a and b are not 0. They're not the 0 vectors. So I know the magnitude of a is not 0, and I know the magnitude of b is not 0. But if the angle is 90 degrees, what's the cosine of theta?
0.
The 0. And I'd have 0 equals a dot b over the magnitude of a times the magnitude of b. That would mean that the dot product would be 0. So here's let's see, what did we would like to know when two vectors are perpendicular. So this would mean that they intersect at a 90-degree angle, or pi over 2. And so I can say this: two vectors, vector A and vector B, are perpendicular if and only if A dotted with B equals the number 0. Now is a good time to talk about if and only if, because you're going to see it a lot this semester, and you need to know what that means, and you need to know what it means when you don't see it. If and only if is really two if-then statements. And a classic if-then statement that you've worked with for a long time, an if and only if, is the Pythagorean Theorem. And a lot of times when we say, what is the Pythagorean Theorem, what do people say?
A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Yeah, you know what? That's only half of it. It's the Pythagorean Theorem. If you have a right triangle where A and B are the legs and C is the hypotenuse, then a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It's also this: if you have a squared plus b squared equals c squared, then you have a right triangle. That's if and only if. So I could say, if on a triangle we have sides A, B, C, let's see, I don't want to start with the if. Triangle with sides A, B, C is a right triangle if and only if a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Not every if-then statement you can do that. Here's a different if-then statement. If I live in Baton Rouge, then I live in Louisiana. Is that true? Yeah. If I live in Louisiana, then I live in Baton Rouge. Is that true? No. That's not an if and only if statement. I cannot trade, they call it consequent and the antecedent. I can't trade the if part with the then part and still have a true statement. For if and only if you can trade them and the statement's still true.